Brainerd Road in the Village of Orange and Woodmere and involving the City of Beechwood and declaring an emergency. This is on for second reading.
Brian Mater has reviewed the plan.
Declaring an emergency clause, something we've been working on for 20 years. It's an emergency.
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
Everyone to run from the street to us and put it in our format, but isn't it the south side pavement?
No,
Of Chagrin Boulevard?
no, they're moving the road.
The north side. They're doing it on the north side.
You can run that by Brian to make sure I'm right, but.
It is.
The road isn't being widened on the south side, it's being moved.
It's on the Woodmere Beechwood.
That's right, I mean,
But it must affect us like at the intersection where Orange Place is and stuff.
I think it also has to do with all of the work that's been done previously for the traffic control systems and that may be affected by that.
project.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're just saying it doesn't have anything to do with Orange Village? Is that your question?
Well, it's, if it is truly the north side of Chagrin Boulevard, it may be entirely in Woodmere. But there may be attendant work on the south side.
For the most part, it doesn't involve Orange Village. It will be, they're doing like from the Wendy's area where it's very narrow, going westbound, so that's sort of the area that they're working in. Most of it's.
Block some of our entrances?
Why are we,
We gotta be consent if they're doing
Anything to the state route.
and there may be a full repavement of the area too.
okay.
Yeah.
Which businesses, if it is orange, which businesses would be impacted or not?
Chula, Wendy's, the
Yeah, on the south side?
71.
Oh,
car wash.
how is,
I don't know what the traffic plan is or the,
that's what, I was going to say, how's that going to affect the traffic?
managed by Woodmere.
Okay,
Happening?
okay.
I think it extends beyond the Village Shopping Center because Randy Curtis had mentioned something. It goes up, no, it goes further east.
It goes to the Brainerd, I think it goes to the east Brainerd.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
All right. Anything else? All right, moving on. Ordinance 2019-26, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding to obtain an option to purchase 80.3 acres of real property fronting on Harvard Road and from running between Orange Place South and Brainerd Road from Sharon Briones, Elliot Weintraub, and Jay Weintraub, and declaring an emergency. This is on for second reading.
Is he going to be here tonight? Or, okay.
Progress?
So we'll hold on until Paul gets here. Moving on to new business. Ordinance 2019-27, an ordinance amending and repealing certain sections of Chapter 937 of the Codified Ordinances of Orange Village to eliminate the requirement that alarm systems receive a permit from the village and pay a fee for such permit.
Well, we eliminated the fee already. Nobody's paid the $5 fee for a couple of years. Second of all, I wish the chief was in the, oh, there you are.
And there he is.
I didn't even see you come back. You don't use this information at all.
He's hiding amongst the polling equipment. Anna.
Has all the information that we have, and it's silly for us to have it. A lot of times we do that.
When they call.
When one of mine tripped when I was in the pool. God, that was wild.
Questions, comments?
One less thing to have to keep up with.
Oh, yeah.
Did this come from you, chief, or this, all these amendments? Yes?
We all talked about it, and really, the fee we didn't need, and then secondly, we didn't need the information any longer, so obviously that's why we waived the fee initially. And it's just too much of a redundant because we didn't get the information from the police back, we didn't realize about it.
No, I think it's great. I think it's good. Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance 2019-28. An ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property known as vacant land.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Permit parcel number 901-24-001 and authorizing the mayor to take such actions as are necessary for the village to obtain ownership of said property and declaring an emergency. This is on for first reading.
This is a donation of 2 acres of Assistant Law Director, Evan Hirsch, is working on this. We haven't finalized the paperwork, but we'll get the reading of the ordinance on.
Try to get it done before the end of the year?
Yes.
And the poverty is what?
Sense for them.
On Lander?
It's for us to give them
It doesn't cost us anything on anything.
assets?
Okay, yeah.
Environmentals, Phase 1, do we have any risks that we take on for?
Well, Bob likes it because it has a municipal waterway in it.
No, I'm not aware of any phase 1, phase 2, anything done over there.
Built on it.
It's a vacant lot, it's a second parcel north of Highland Trail on Lander. on the
Oh,
east side of the
that.
road. And it's got a culvert way that goes through and works its way around and hooks over to Highland Trail. Right now, it's just vacant property, but myself and the engineer were on there, and never didn't see anything visually. There is, Steve, I believe, oil rights on that property as well.
There's, you know, the royalties for an oil and gas is about 8% of the gross revenue. This parcel of property has a small percentage of that because it's part of the acreage of the drilling unit. So
The well itself is not on the piece of,
you are not going to be able to finance a vehicle on the revenues that you get from the oil and gas.
the well itself
Where is that oil, where is that gas well?
It's on the property to the north.
Okay.
Is it in Dominic's property?
Right, it's not on this property.
It's on Dominic's property. Okay, you asked if it's costing us anything. It's costing us our legal fees?
Which is how much?
I don't know.
Bucks?
Well, I think that,
Whatever Evan Hirsch charges.
okay, but what is that?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It's
I'd
probably
have to look into it.
Probably 1,000 or two. But the
okay.
other expense, and this is what's holding us up, is because we're negotiating now on closing fees, and
How much is that?
about $2,000. And
Oh.
the last I offered 50%.
Yeah,
We wanted them to pay all of it.
They recognize that of that 2 grand, 900
Is
is a
theirs.
prorated taxation, and they're going to pay all of the prorated taxes through the date of transfer.
Want the
I
deduction?
offered to split the rest.
And then there's about another 1,000 or so that is going to be split, so we don't have to haggle over.
So is this gonna cost us like 5 grand?
Not even.
Close to
Under
that?
3. Less than 3.
So what's the reason for us to
I
do
won't
this?
commit.
Cost us one,
No, it won't cost us anything after we own it. There's
no, but if it costs us 1 penny, what's the reason for us to take?
Green space.
Access to a municipal waterway. There are drainage issues off of,
It has a drainage issue, it has an outlet off of Lander Road, which comes through and goes through the property and cuts back out to Hiram Trail, so it's an opportunity to maintain a waterway that serves in a municipal interest.
Just a plus, why wouldn't we take it just for the green space?
Well, you're right.
I mean, is it developable?
No.
Okay, so that's gonna
There's a
remain
waterway
green.
running.
I know, so it's gonna remain green space. So why are we paying for green space that's gonna remain green space? I'm just curious.
Because he offered to donate it to us.
Present.
Understand, and a donation to me sounds like, hey, I'm donating this to you. You know, it's not gonna cost you anything. Well, I don't know why it's costing us anything.
That's the way.
Even gift horses cost money.
What's that?
Even gift horses cost money.
Then why are we accepting this donation?
Because
If it
it's a
serves
ju-
us no benefit, it's not developable, so it's
The benefit of green space, which is green space now, so it's more green space.
already green space.
I know that, I get it.
Oh.
I wanted to know why they were surrendering the green space to us, why they were giving it to us.
A legal lot, it probably would be hard.
I bet I could figure out how to build on it.
Yeah?
Ryan said it was,
It would probably require a variance based on the waterway going in,
Oh.
or, you know, through the property, but it's a parcel developable lot.
To do that.
parcel?
Don't buy it.
I think the rule of thumb is never turn down property that is contiguous to your municipality.
But isn't it change if you have to pay for it? I don't know.
It's a rule of thumb, I mean, it's,
I mean,
A rule of thumb isn't a,
Land is land, I guess.
always me.
$1,000.
If we said, hey, well, you know, you're donating this, you're getting some kind of benefit to it, obviously. How about you?
Authorized to go half and half.
Okay, on what? On
Closing costs,
the closing costs, but what about,
taxes, less taxes. They pay taxes,
Right.
so half of the closing costs other than taxes.
And our legal fees that,
ask them to cover our legal fees?
Well, that's,
Maybe I'm the only one who
okay.
finds it weird.
I think it's interesting that we're getting the land and then we're asking them to pay our legal fees. That sort of doesn't ring quite right with me. That's strange.
We're not asking them for the land.
No, we're not. It's a gift. So if somebody gives you a gift, then you're going to ask for a surcharge on top of that?
It's not a gift if it costs us money.
Well-
It'd be like me gifting you a bill to pay my cable. Here's a piece of paper. I don't need it back, but make sure you pay my cable bill.
What would make you happy with this?
Pay the fees that are associated with it.
put it like this, if they want to give me the 2 acres, I'll pay half of their, what's that?
Okay.
That's why we'll do it, right there.
Well, it would be terrible if we continue to run up Evan's legal bills if you're not going to approve the ordinance.
I'm just giving, I'm not saying that I love, the village acquiring land and keeping it green, but on land that's going to already remain green, I don't know why we're,
Because he wants access to the waterway. I mean, we never had it, so, but that's a plus.
you want access to the waterway, or it's just like, hey, this is also a benefit to it?
It was a donated piece of property and it has access to the waterway.
Okay.
Do I have to have access to it? No. But
What is the benefit to having access to the waterway?
well, with anything that we have sort of easements where we have waterways going through, certainly if it backs up,
Flowing.
we have a problem off of Lander Road that goes into private property and we can't maintain it, it starts sheet flowing across somebody else's property where it circles around the Hiram Trail. I mean, there's always a benefit of having easements to waterways that are serving a municipal environment,
Is there any potential liability that if there's flooding or something on the property that would leak over into the adjacent properties that?
It's a legal question, Steve.
Well, it's, the liability is not available as a claim unless we have.
Failure
notice
to
of a
maintain-
nuisance.
well, yeah,
If we
but-
have notice of it, we would need to maintain it.
Do we know if there's ever been any issues? If we looked at this?
historically none that I know.
There is always a value to the community in having and maintaining a piece of property for green space purposes only, such that in no way in the future that it could be used for something else. And we can't anticipate or foresee what that something else might be. And I'm sure that there are clever enough builders and developers in the world that can figure out how to convert a piece of non-buildable property into a piece of buildable property. I've
Variance, though.
seen it, no, well, you never know. I've seen it done before. So the idea of us having control of it for a very, very minimal cost is an invaluable asset, and it also suggests our responsibility and stewardship for the environment of our community.
I agree 100% with you.
Well, good, let's go.
I would like to see what the legal bills are going to be before we go ahead and do this.
That's sort of a circular thing. You can't,
Well, you get an estimate from your attorney and saying, hey, how much is this going to cost? And if it's something that is, substantially in excess of that, then you give Rolly, is
set up at $2,000.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, it's,
that what it is going to be?
See if there's feedback coming back on
your
this.
voice is fading.
It depends on how much we have to negotiate over who's going to pay what closing costs.
like it'll take a lot of time because it costs more in legal fees than the closing costs themselves.
The estimating will cost more than the fees.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, just do it.
Okay. Well, if you could just ask for an estimate,
Charge to estimating.
see somebody in your office,
Yeah.
named Hirsch. If
Yeah.
you could just say, hey,
I will absolutely
what do you think this is going to cost? And just get back to us.
absolutely do that.
That'd be swell. All right, moving on. Resolution 2019-11, a resolution requesting the fiscal officer to advance taxes in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Pass this tonight, right, or next week?
Resolution.
Special meeting?
Pass it, we don't get the taxes.
Meeting, let's pass it.
Make a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 2019-11.
All right, is there a second? Second. Thank you. Any other comments? All right, call roll, please.
Klein.
Yes.
Luter.
Yes.
Perry. Braverman.
Yes.
Harness.
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. And discussion of notice from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control of the request for a liquor permit for BJ's Restaurant Operations. Typically, we kind of had it with Pinecrest that these don't have to come through council, but
Pinecrest, this is
out of
like
it.
Outside of Pinecrest.
at Pinecrest, so if you don't have an objection, you can just discuss that and indicate to the clerk that she doesn't need to do anything. If you have an objection, there's a process you have to follow.
Pinecrest falls into what's called an entertainment district. That was part of the original.
So all these didn't have
This
to
is
come.
not, this is outside of it.
This is outside of it. Unless anybody disagrees, I don't think that we need to really do anything with this. So, anybody want to object to this or go further with this? Okay. All right, with that said, moving on to audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village.
You have Paul here, do we want,
Yeah, Paul's here.
Paul's here, do you want to?
Oh, that's in
Oh, okay.
executive session.
I'm sorry.
Hi, if you'd like to come up to the...
I'm Stacy Edelman Vincent. I live in Orange Hill. I wanted to thank Anna and Steve and Dana for all their help during the election process, providing information and communicating information to everybody. I also wanted to thank our service department for the amazing job they did clearing all the signs and re-beautifying Orange Village. I watched as other surrounding districts, people had to run and get their signs and everything, and it was just such a wonderful service, so I thank you. I would also like to ask if it would be appropriate to read a statement at this point regarding the election.
Why not?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. I would like to say I am humbled and honored by the overwhelming show of support and trust the incredible residents of Orange Village have placed in me. As I went door to door in an effort to meet all of my wonderful neighbors, I made a concerted effort to be a good listener and respond in a timely manner when issues were raised, even before serving on council. As I promised the residents, I will do my best to uphold their trust in me by being the very best community connection I can be, serving as a liaison between the residents, council, the administration, the schools, and those who work in and for the Village of Orange. I hope all residents know that I will work hard to keep open lines of communication and hope they will always feel as if they are a huge part of that conversation. Hands down, the best part of campaigning has been the people I've been fortunate enough to meet along the way. Incredible residents and neighbors I met going door to door who will now be lifelong friends. And old friends and new acquaintances who jumped in to assist without reservation and have become a great support system. I want to thank all those who have supported me throughout the process. I truly understand the expression, it takes a village. Family, friends, neighbors, the campaign team who believed in me from the beginning are the reason I'm here. I can't thank them enough for all their endless hours, volunteer hours, and constant support throughout. They have been the wind beneath my wings, and I'm grateful to them all. I would also be remiss if I didn't thank my fellow candidates for inspiring me. They all put up a fantastic campaign. I would have been honored to serve with all of them, and I look forward to doing great collaborative work on council with Brandon, Pradeep, Brent, Scott, Judson, Lisa, and Mayor Kathy Mulcahy. I thank retiring council members Francis Kluter and Herb Braverman for their amazing 32 years of service each, and I thank Alan Charnas and Amanda Curlin for the work they have done already and the great work I know they will continue to do for our community. Ron Barron was my inspiration. His passing was the impetus that motivated me to continue his good work as a councilman. His passion for the schools and for this town exists within me, and I promise to continue to build on all he accomplished. Our mutual zest for all things Orange is a connection I will forever treasure. I want to thank you all, and I want to thank you all for your support, and I wish everybody luck in the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
They follow that.
Moving on to committee reports and comments by council members. Ms. Perry?
I'd like to welcome the new candidates to council in January. Congratulations. And I hope that the people who didn't win will consider serving in some capacity or another. So I appreciate your enthusiasm and putting out the effort in campaign. We're sorry to see you. And I don't think that there's any other committee reports for the garden committee. It's pretty much closed up for the winter. Fred Rosenberg and Bob and Anna and I have maybe one or two little things to tackle over the winter, right, Tweet? But it's actually looking like a well-working machine right now. That's it.
Ernest?
So I'll talk a little about the election. Brandon, first of all, congrats to you.
Thank you.
Well deserved. You ran on your record, which is, I know you don't like to take credit for it a lot, but it's been a very positive 8 years. The village has been well off for having you serving, and it'll be well off for having you continue to serve.
Thank you.
So keep up the good work. We're lucky to have you.
Appreciate it.
Stacy and Pradeep, you both worked very hard and ran a very good campaign to get elected, and good luck to you in your future. Amanda, no one likes to lose, I can tell you that. But you can keep your head up high. You know, you worked just as hard as everyone else, if not harder, and you deserved a better result than I think what you got last night. It was nice to get to know you during the campaign. I don't think we really knew each other beforehand. You ran a very good and honest campaign, and I respect that. And really tell from having listened to you, having talked to you, that you really ran for the right reasons to promote a strong and safe community. And we're all better off for people like you wanting to put yourselves out there and serve. So congrats to you, and sorry that it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. I really don't like to talk about myself a lot. So I'm not going to rehash the campaign. I'll wait to do that with my wife when she gets home. Rehash the campaign. She's out of town, so she didn't get to experience the last week.
That's too bad.
I really learned a lot being on council, even though it was a short period of time. I learned a lot campaigning. I met some very good people. I also met some very interesting people. You know, I didn't have a lot of time to be on council and make a big difference, I think, but I hope you hear the term "do no harm." I don't think I did any harm, so I'm happy about that. There's still a lot to learn. When you sit on council, no matter how involved you think you are, you learn all of the things council does, administration does to put in. The department heads, I think all of them are still here. What a job they do. I mean, to run a $23 million, $22 million, what was the budget that we saw? I mean, that's a big business. I ran a fairly big business, and, we had about a $10 million budget, $22 million, and they do it with, a fairly reasonable payroll. I know it's growing, and some of that is what happens when you develop. You have to grow that, but you all do a very good job, and I'm very impressed with it. The village is very strong, in a very strong, I believe, financial position right now. Hopefully it stays that way. I hope all the elected officials will positively manage our growth. I think that's important financially to continue to do that. And I hope they continue to work with all the residents. Those are the commercial and the residential residents, in promoting the services that we all need, promoting the housing options that become available to keep people in this village. And I really hope they can do that and hopefully maintain our property values without increasing our taxes. So, it's been a pleasure being appointed to council, and I wish it would last longer, but it didn't, and I'll enjoy the last couple of meetings that I have, however long that is. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Braverman?
I want to divide my time into two pieces. The second piece I will take next month. I'll have my closing remarks in my campaign next month, and so I'll reserve some time in December, put that on the agenda, maybe a little longer than the usual comments. But, getting back to this month, I think I will say that I'm very comfortable as an outgoing member of council with the campaign that has just been completed and with all of the candidates who ran. That's very important. Once you put in 30 years, you're hoping that the ball doesn't get dropped by the next person you hand it to. And therefore, the caliber of those people are very important. And I was impressed when I met all of you, including those who didn't win, unfortunately, this year. This time around, I expect to see your yard signs, as I pointed out to someone earlier. In 2 years, I expect to see the same yard signs out there on the same lawns. But I think we're in good hands. You've got a lot to learn, as anybody coming into a situation like this knows, as was just pointed out, and I know you're going to do a great job. So dive in and don't let us down.
Thank you. Mr. Klein.
I have a number of things to talk about. First of all, I want to congratulate all the new council members and the work that they did, that everyone did collectively, as Mr. Braverman has stated, with Mr. Charnas has stated, Ms. Perry has stated. You've been great candidates. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and hope that you will continue to be engaged in the city, and I know that you will, with the village, and I know you will, and continue on in delivering your service. I also want to thank both Herb and Francis for their long service to our community, and reaching a point where they are ready to step down and let the next generation of leaders come up to the village and start to participate in what we're doing. I'm looking forward to working with all of you in the near future as we develop all the new things that will continue to happen. One of the things that I'll just touch on briefly that I talked about, and relative to the budget, is a need for some focus on economic development. We are a 21st century community. We have extensive developments, and we have to be responsible for them. We have to be stewards of them. And that requires playing a proactive role rather than a reactive role in managing that process. And so I am going to be asking for some money to be inserted into the budget for at least an initial economic development pursuit, and getting some ideas to how we would go about doing some things and engaging some people to do it, and being parts of organizations that will help further our cause. As we've already seen with Pinecrest, there is some turnover. There will always be churn in developments, and we have to be part of the process and not just reacting to what comes our way. So I want to encourage that. And to that point, last week I participated in the Cleveland Rising Summit that took place in downtown Cleveland, a 2.5-day event that was attended by in excess of 600 people from around the area. I was a little disappointed in the limited number of local politicians that participated in it. There were a few that came for the first day or so and then departed. I stayed the entire time and participated in it. I think that we have some great opportunities in our community, and we need to be a part of all of that. That Orange Village is an integral part of this Northeast Ohio fabric, and we need to play a role in its shape. So I wanted to bring it up. If anybody wants to talk to me further about it, I'm happy to do so. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it here. But getting down to business, the Planning Commission has met twice since our last council meeting. At both meetings, we had a number of new houses that were approved. There will be a couple of variances coming to council next week from yesterday's Planning Commission meeting. A couple of them have to do with decks at the Lakes of Orange, and there was quite a bit of discussion about why we seem to need these variances for the decks, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. So that's my report, and
Sticking to it.
I'm sticking to it, and I'm passing the ball to Ms. Kluter.
Very brief. Congratulations to the winners of the race yesterday. It was really exciting. And I really do want to commend Amanda and Alan. They were standing in not such great weather. Yes, it was cold, and they had worked really, really hard. And I appreciate both of them. Both of you even putting your hat in the ring. It's really hard. You want to win, and if you don't, you've got to not get depressed, because believe me, there'll be more occasions for you to do it. And even if you're not going to be on this actual dais, there are other parts of Orange Village where you can be very, very helpful. So Alan, I hope that you won't disappear. I hope that you'll continue. Don't get discouraged, we'll push you back up. It's a difficult job, and even when you come out with the euphoria of winning, believe me, when you sit up here and you have to make hard decisions, some of that glamour dissipates. So thank you for doing what you did, both of you, and thank you for the hard work you all put in. You all worked really, really well. The signs, yesterday when I came up, I've never seen so many signs around the polling booths that we had yesterday. They grew like flowers or something. So do we have a sign ordinance? I mean, do we have a political sign ordinance? It seems to me when Herb and I ran, it was very, very, very modest. I mean, I never saw anything like it. Plus, there are some signs outside the community. So though our wonderful service department got out at the crack of dawn and picked up signs, I suggest you look in Pepper Pike, Moreland Hills, Woodmere, and Solon. And I think they should be scooped up, because somebody called me about it. I want you to know why the signs were out in wherever, Moreland Hills, I think it was. So
We had some Moreland Hill signs in Orange, too.
Yes, I think didn't we used to have a sign, some sort of sign regulations? We did. And we do. Then where did they all show up yesterday? How did that?
Whatever was on the Village Hall probably is not in comportment with whatever ordinance we
But they
have.
were, I mean, they were,
But it has been traditionally.
It absolutely has.
not to that extent, Mayor, come on. No,
Only for one day.
I'm not sort of being too critical, but I did get calls about the signs outside the community, so, yes.
When you started,
One sign,
homemade.
they were. I did, yeah, I did. We had no money. Nobody had money. The village didn't have money.
$500 fundraiser?
I don't think so. Anyway, for what it was worth, I'm glad that it's over, and I'm very glad this is the Village of Orange and not another community where there's been some black eyes going around, so this is good.
Election?
No, last week. Last week.
Oh.
I was out of town, and it was streamed in Texas. So, thank you. Yes, yeah, we streamed it.
Well, everyone else has said everything, and I think I've said everything I know to say to each of you. So, for the public record, stay involved. We need you all, and welcome aboard. It's been a while since we had this coffee and conversation event with all the businesses in the village, but I don't think we've met since we had it, so I want to report that we mailed 130 invitations throughout the village, and we had all the department heads here, and lots of good treats, and 2 people came.
So they're leftovers?
Yeah, that's for next week.
Today. Anna did a big job. I think it was fun for her because the auction for the signs was a big success. Anna had it set up in a really sophisticated way. And there's still a few signs left that didn't sell. I don't know what we're going to do with those, but we did bring in a whopping $459 for the sale of the signs. But I think people had $459.
Very good.
But I think people had fun. The highest price was $21.
Orange Meadow still up for grabs?
$21 was the highest price anyone paid.
Street was that? What's that high-priced street?
Ours was for a Lander sign.
Did you buy it, man? Did you buy a sign?
No, I didn't. I would have bought Pike if I'd bought any. Okay, and I remind everybody to buy Shop It with a Cop tickets. Sergeant Sherwood takes the kids shopping every year with your donations, and they love it. Lisa, did you still want Anna to figure out the Kimball tour?
Yes, I do. I was thinking maybe a 1 o'clock time, Anna, would be great, 'cause they only do it till 2:30.
What is it?
So it'll be in March. What was the date? Do you remember? I don't know.
Not-
We picked like the second week, and they were supposed to let us know
Okay, but they gave us a time, right,
certain times that we could do it.
I think, like, yeah, you can do one. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
The cop tickets? I don't know if they did or not. I want to,
Can I go back to the Kimball thing? We're going to send out an invitation to the whole community, right?
Yes, and we'll put it in the newsletter as well.
There isn't a limit on how many people can come. and
good. It's a nice Orange Village field trip. In advance, I want to thank Herb again for going to the annual General Assembly meeting for NOPEC. You got the proxy? I got it. Okay, good. I guess I'm just, excited that we got a budget done, and we got the budget submitted, and feels like a big project off our backs, and we will move on to the next thing soon, and that's all I have to say.
Great, thanks. The shop with a cop that you mentioned, it's a great thing that we do, and I think we need to find a way to publicize it more, not in hey, this is what we do, but in a way to sell tickets. So I've talked to, there were some people yesterday who I was discussing it with. Yeah, he bought a bunch of tickets, and he's like, this is a fantastic organization, and, he found out how many kids, I think it was 8 maybe last year that they were to do, and
8? I didn't do it last year, but the year before I did.
is that somewhere around there, and, I think that we should try to find a way to, double or triple that, and I think that with a little bit of, outreach and communication with the residents, I think we can do it, and probably even if there's a way to do some type of purchasing online, if we send out, a notice to the residents about it, and they can go up and pay for tickets online, I think it's something that, hopefully could get some traction, and not for publicity purposes, but because it's a really good thing that we're doing.
What's the deadline? What's the deadline this year?
I'll ask you that. Is it next week?
Most of the thing we could do between now and then is, if there's an e-news going out, we can't get the online form together fast enough. But those are great ideas for next year.
The drawing is December 19th.
But she needs those before.
I'm just
I
telling
don't know what the
you.
deadline is. We'll do what we can in the e-news or whatever, but let's use some of those ideas next year.
It's in the newsletter. It was in the newsletter.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the newsletter, but I think we need to try to go a step further with that in order to really promote
Scott
it.
is?
And, I think it would be,
He's in Florida with his children. I've got a few days vacation.
appropriate. So I would hope that everybody would go ahead and do that. In terms of the election, the only thing, I'm not going to talk much about it, but, when you have new council members, and we've had a lot in the 8 years that I've been on council, when people are joining council, everybody's generally speaking nice, and you don't know if somebody's going to be a good council member, or I don't want to say a bad council member, but, some are more productive than others. And I'm not saying I'm one of the more productive, because I'm probably not. But, I don't know what we're gaining yet, and I hope we're gaining something great with Stacy and Pradeep. But I do know what we're losing, and Brent. I'm just kidding. And Brent. But I do know what we're losing. And, in Alan's short time, I think he was a really benefit to council. And, I think that in the future, hopefully he'll stick with it. And I think he would be great for Orange. So that's all I'm going to say about the election. And what else do we have? I think that's about it. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose.
But are we doing it in 2 parts? Because we don't need the same
in
the
two
two
parts.
things?
You just make the motion, you're doing it in
Wait, Paul's here for the executive.
Those who've been elected.
Yeah,
come to the
I'm-
executive session.
Just getting ahead of me here. Motion to adjourn into, I'm making a motion to adjourn into the executive session for the purpose of preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiation sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and to consider the purchase of property for public purposes.
For real estate?
Inviting Paul Singerman to join us, as well as Brent Silver, Stacy Vincent. Can I finish, please? Brief comment, Chief Costura. Mr. Zugan, do you want to come in?
Wait, Brent?
Chief Wilson?
Stacy.
Dana, you're invited. Anyone else want to?
Would love to be invited.
Yeah, the reporter would love to be involved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. If you would call roll, please.
Okay. Klein?
Yes.
Bilski? Oh, sorry. Cluter?
Yes, Bilski says yes.
Berman?
Yes.
Charnes? Duber?
Yes.
Why didn't he answer?